Hey everybody, so today we're going to be diagnosing a diagnostic trouble code in my 2017 Ram 1500. See the code right there. It's a amp code. It's B1479-13. Description is channel 6 audio speaker output circuit open. What that means is the right rear door, in this case, back there, speaker is not working. So I turned on the music and I confirmed I did not hear anything from that speaker. I'm going to spare you from doing that just because it's pretty self-explanatory, and quite honestly, if I try this, I'll probably get a copyright violation. So we're going to take that door panel off and see if we can see any obvious problems. Hopefully it's a loose connection and we don't have to replace a speaker or the amplifier. All the other speakers do seem to be working correctly though. Alright, apologies in advance for the background noise. It's monsooning in South Florida right now. It's raining really hard, so I got the truck pulled into the garage. So to remove that rear door panel, we're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a small flat blade screwdriver, a T20 Torx, and a trim stick kit. You could probably get by without some of these, but this is the way to reduce probability of paint damage. So let's get the door panel off. But before we do that, I've isolated the negative battery terminal just as a safety precaution because we're going to be unplugging components inside the door panel. And though I don't think there's any airbags in the door itself, this is just to be out of abundance of caution. Alright, so removing this door panel is actually pretty easy. There's a bunch of these like T20 plastic Torx fasteners that go the perimeter of the door panel. And behind here, there's a little Phillips head fastener. So let's see if we can remove that little plastic cover without damaging it. In the past I've used a screwdriver, but sometimes you nick it that way. So I'm going to get this trim stick behind. Yeah, that's not going to work. You want to try to get behind there so you don't damage anything, but it's really tough not to, honestly. I have these trim sticks here. Maybe this one here, pointy one. There we go. And that's what it looks like right there. So you see there's a clip right there on this side and another clip right there on that side. Better focus. Right there and right there. So that goes right in there. Get you guys a little closer. And you can see in there's a Phillips head fastener right here. So we'll just go ahead and remove that one. Like so. Now we'll attack these T20 Torx pieces around the perimeter of the door. I'm just going to use this T-handled T20 driver. You need to put a little bit of pressure behind the fastener because they're not metal fasteners, just little pieces of plastic. So sometimes you use a fingernail, sometimes you use a screwdriver. Sometimes you have to do anything, sometimes they just come right out. But it's what they look like right there. And then you got to pop out the insert. And the insert looks like this. So that's the whole fastener right there. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 of them. Okay, got all 5 of those little plastic inserts out. Now you gotta remove this trim piece right here. This just pops right off with a trim stick. Just work your way around. The reason why that has to come off is because this little bracket right here is underneath it. So now in theory, our door panel should lift up and out. In theory. Am I missing a fastener? No, actually I think this piece has to come out here. Yeah. And that just pops right out. Nothing really holding that. All right, let's try that again. There we go. We got a little wiring harness in here to deal with. It's just the harness for the window mechanism. Maybe we'll just pop that out. There we go. Didn't need that anyway, right? There's our door panel, and here's our window mechanism. So this is what it looks like on the inside. Get you guys a good shot of that. Hang on one second. So here's the inside, and you can see it's really just held on with these little plastic clips all around the perimeter there. So there's no metal pins that hold it in place. You just got to lift up and out. And this is what the harness for that window switch looks like right here. There's a little tab right here, a little release mechanism. All right, and this speaker is the reason why we're here. So this looks like we're gonna need a really tiny nut driver. I'm not sure what size that is off the top of my head. Let's see if this is it. Nah, it's smaller. So I'm gonna go grab some tools, get these 4 screws off the perimeter of the speaker. And these screws appear to be 5mm. So I need a 5mm nut driver. Okay, last screw coming out. Okay. Not really sure how this thing glued in. Let me put one of these top screws back in, just a couple threads, actually both of them, just so this thing doesn't go flying if it does pop out. Almost feels like it's glued in, but that seems kind of strange. Does not want to come out. Well, that's kind of strange. I don't really want to pry on it, but what alternative do I have? Jeez, that is on there. Is this in a fastener? Okay, so you can see some movement in the speaker now. I'm just kind of sticking a screwdriver along the edge, just kind of rotating a little bit. So maybe there is some kind of adhesive in here. Yeah, that's what she is. Let's get our screws out. Let's disconnect it and look for obvious problems. Well, one obvious potential problem that jumped out at me right away is this speaker's soaking wet. There's water all over it. It's raining outside, but I don't know if this much water should be getting inside the door. Do I have a problem with my belt molding on the outside? Because I also see, I noticed this right away, down here. I noticed this little trail here, and that's wet too. So why is so much water getting in this door? The harness is wet, everything's wet. Okay, got the speaker on the bench. Let's do a resistance test. I don't know what the correct resistance should be, but if we see something close to an open circuit, that's not a good sign. I just got my fluke meter on ohms, and I'm just touching both probes here to the terminals. Oh boy. Getting 21 mega ohms. That's a lot. Normally, speaker resistance will be measured in ohms, like 5 or 4. So this one seems to have burnt out somehow. It's very close to an open circuit. You can see our part number right here. I'll go look that up and see what this speaker costs. Let me just check with another meter just for sanity. So I decided to double check the reading with a different fluke meter. Always good to double check questionable readings like that, or readings that seem off. So here we read a different number, but still very high, 17 mega ohms. That's way too much for an automotive speaker. And I've got the probes on alligator clamps on the terminals in here. So I would go out on a limb and say this speaker is definitely bad. So this is pretty much an open circuit at this point. Now let's go look at our part number. This part number is 528-515-60AA. So I'll go look that up online and see what it costs. Okay, so this is a first. I looked up this part number online. It doesn't come up anywhere, like no record of it ever having existed. Not like it's superseded to something else. Nope, it just doesn't exist. So I looked up the vehicle, and it seems like this speaker's new part number is 5091019AB. So I don't know if that means they've had problems with this problems with the supplier. I also noticed that the pictures of the new part indicate it's assembled in Mexico, whereas this one's assembled in China. Will that make a difference? I'm not sure. But the next step is to order that speaker. It looks like it's the same part number on both sides. I'll leave a link in the description if I can find a place to purchase this thing. It's really tough to get parts right now, though. Another quick test I think we'll do. I have my benchtop power supply up here set to 12 volts, as you can see right there. I'm just going to tap the terminals of this speaker and see if I hear any sound. Not really expecting to, because the speaker's dead. Or we think it's dead, but this will kind of confirm it for us. Or it'll let out the magic smoke, who knows. I'm not hearing anything at all. Nope. Nobody's home. Normally you hear like a boop, 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 boop. So, speaker is dead. Confirmed. Now in your case, maybe you are seeing reasonable resistance values out of the speaker. Maybe you are seeing like 4 ohms, right? And maybe your speaker does make a noise when you blip it with a power supply, as I did. If that's the case, then we need to look at the wiring to the speaker. So if that was the case, I'd probably stick my oscilloscope on the wiring harness to see if I could see a waveform with music playing. If we do not, I would trace the wiring back to the amplifier and see what we have on the amplifier output, which I think is under the rear seat, if I remember correctly. If we get nothing at the amplifier output, then I would start looking at the amplifier itself. There might be an internal problem. But here it's pretty clear this speaker is dead. I don't know what killed it, but certainly the moisture is a possible suspect. So I'm going to order the speaker, and we'll pick it up when the new part comes in. All right, so it's about a week later. I ended up ordering the speaker from factorychryslerparts.com, and I have to give them a lot of credit. I entered the VIN for the vehicle at checkout, and they contacted me organically and said, hey, you know what? You ordered the wrong part for your truck. Your truck has a 9-speaker system, but you ordered a speaker for the 6-speaker system. So, and they actually credited me because the part that I actually needed was cheaper. The part that I had ordered was about 50 bucks. The part that I needed, which is this one right here, was about 25 or so. So it's kind of interesting that the part for the for the more expensive sound system is actually cheaper. So the actual part number that you're going to need is 0506 4358AB. So ignore what I said in the last video where I wrote down, where I gave you a part number that I found online. That was wrong. This is supposedly the part that I need. Just from a cosmetic perspective, it looks nearly identical, save the part number. So I think we're just going to get going and get this thing installed and see if it fixes the problem. Not nearly as windy out today, so I figured we'd finish this repair outside. So I got the door open, got the negative battery terminal disconnected. Pull our window switch. Get our 4 fasteners for the speaker. I put everything in a plastic bag here while I was waiting for parts to arrive. Helps keep everything together. So first things first, let's get our speaker back in position with the harness hooked up. Pretty simple. And get each of the 4 screws started and then tighten them down with our, I think it was a 5mm, yeah, 5mm nut driver. If anybody knows that this is a common problem with this vehicle, I'm all ears. I'm actually kind of curious. Or if anybody knows of any aftermarket speakers that are reasonably priced that are much better. I honestly thought these speakers were pretty good, but what do I know? Oops. Make sure you drop your tools, that's important. And if you can, drop your fasteners too. Make sure the wiring harness goes through this groove here. You don't want to pinch it. I think we'll give it a quick test before we put the door back together. The off chance a speaker is not the problem, we'll need access to the components to troubleshoot it. There is a procedure for troubleshooting this, but again, I can't imagine the speaker is not bad. All right, they're all nice and snug, so let's, like I said, I need to unplug that. All right, I'm gonna plug the negative battery terminal back in. We'll give the sound a test. I'm gonna do that off camera just because YouTube likes to tag copyright violations, so. Okay, that did it. I threw on an FM radio station, just stuck my head near this speaker, and it sounds great. So I think this repair is all done. We can just finish putting the door back together, which is pretty straightforward, but I'll walk you guys through it. Make sure these screws are nice and tight. Let's unplug our window switch again. Let's get our door panel. While the door panel was off, I took the opportunity to shine it up a little bit with some wires, so it seems a little reflective, that's why. Just gonna feed the window switch harness through this little hole right here. You also gotta feed the lock mechanism through the hole. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Do both at the same time. There we go, I think we got both. And this just kind of clips in. You'll know it when it seats. Getting there. Hook this up now so it doesn't fall back in there. There we go. So you can see all the holes along the side of the door, they now line up. So next step is to put this little bezel back on. snaps in place. There's a screw. There's a bag somewhere. Really not that much that holds this door on. Just kind of look at just a couple of plastic tabs in the door panel itself. This screw and those perimeter fasteners. Doesn't really take much. I'm just putting these little perimeter fasteners back in. Put the insert in first. And I'll simply push that kind of fake screw through the insert. You don't need a tool to reattach them, you just push in. Again, there's a total of 5 of them. Make sure you drop at least one. Can't call this repair done. Okay, that's good. Let's pop this window motor switch back in place and just push it in like that. And we got this trim piece. It only goes in one way. You can see this notch goes in the bottom. Snaps in like that. And last but not least, you got this door trim piece, which goes up here. That just snaps in as well. That's it, folks. Pretty easy repair, as you can see. Got no parts left over. So, if you have a dead speaker in your RAM, and particularly in the rear door, I think the front door procedure is pretty similar. Hopefully you'll find this procedure helpful. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, stay safe, thanks for watching everybody, take care.